Donald Trump, the president, is going to be here in New Hampshire for a little bit of counter-programming. I'll step out of the way, and you can see there's a lineup there that goes around the outside of the arena. Earlier today, this was backed up all the way down to the end of the street, but I believe they're starting to let people into the arena, even though this doesn't start until 7 p.m. So there are people who are waiting for hours and hours in line. It was raining earlier, all because they want to show their support for President Donald Trump. Now, at the same time that President Donald Trump is coming here to New Hampshire, those Democratic frontrunners, they are crisscrossing the state, trying to drum up as much support as they can. And Joe Biden is one of those candidates. Of course, as you mentioned, his poor results in Iowa were deeply disappointing to him. And we just happened to actually cross paths with his wife, Dr. Jill Biden. And we spoke to her about the momentum in the campaign and whether she sees anything that's waning right now. She insists that her husband is doing well, that momentum is building, and that he is the right person for the job. One thing your husband has talked about in the campaign is rebuilding relationships with allies. Where do you see the Canada-U.S. relationship standing right now, and as something that, do you see it as something that needs to be rebuilt?
I think we have a strong relationship with Canada. You know, that's Joe's forte, is foreign policy. I mean, he was head of the Foreign Relations Committee in the United States Senate, and then, you know, as 8 years as vice president, he handled so much of the foreign policy. So that Joe loves foreign policy. He knows the leaders. He's worked with leaders all across the globe, and so that's one of his strengths.
Are you concerned about some of the divisions? I know that the Biden campaign did release an ad targeting Mr. Buttigieg, the former mayor. Do you see that as par for the course, or are you concerned about internal fighting?
You know, no, I'm not concerned about internal fighting. You know, in the end, we are going to support whoever the nominee is. So we're all united in that goal.
And you're hoping that the nominee is your husband?
The nominee will be Joe Biden.
There are questions about unity within the Democratic Party given the negative tone that really emerged this weekend. The frontrunners took shots at each other, Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg, and then we saw that negative attack ad launched by the Joe Biden campaign targeting Pete Buttigieg. So a definite negative tone emerging over the weekend. Some voters we've been speaking with say it makes them uncomfortable. Others recognize it's par for the course for politics in America right now.
And Katie, I understand that you've been speaking with some of the Trump supporters gathering there behind you. What do they make of all of this?
Of the Trump supporters that we spoke to, the one said that the big reason they're here to support Donald Trump is they say promises made, promises kept. And they listed off a number of items, including the new USMCA, that trade deal between Canada, the U.S. and Mexico, as a big reason to support the president. So, as I mentioned, there have been hundreds of people lined up here for hours. We were told that actually the lineup began last night. So people waiting overnight in the cold, snowy, wet conditions for their chance to see President Donald Trump. And in terms of the Democratic infighting, everyone we spoke with saw it as sort of a gift. They don't see anyone who's a strong enough challenger to beat Donald Trump. But again, they are Trump supporters, so it comes from that lens. But they say the more the Democrats fight, the better, and they are just here to support the president.
The CBC's Katie Simpson in New Hampshire on the eve of the Democratic primary.